Biodiversity, it is the presence of variety of plant and animal life. So different kinds of species, when we see, we call it as, or we refer it as biodiversity. Now, the conservation of biodiversity is very important. So to maintain ecological stability, we have studied it is essential, and the reasons for conservation, why it has to be conserved. So we can mention three important reasons. What is the use of biodiversity, for what purpose we have to conserve. So narrowly utilitarian, broadly utilitarian, and ethical utilitarian. So utilitarian means useful, utility, for what we use. So narrowly utility means for restricted purposes, for a concised purpose. For example, we get the human products like food, fibers, drugs, medicines, industrial products, and firewood. So these are all the utility or the benefits which we can consider as narrowly utilitarian. Then broadly utilitarian, that means in a large sense, in a wide aspects, when we see the ecosystem services are very important. For example, the ecosystem services are the pollinators which bring about pollination. So it is for in a wide sense. And the purification of air and water, that means the oxygen which is released by plants during photosynthesis, and also the presence of this ecosystem, it maintains the stability, means it prevents droughts, floods, and so such examples which we can say as ecosystem services. Now there is one important example in ecosystem service, the Amazon forest, which is actually spread in about 4 countries, and it is a very large forest, a huge forest, and a rich means biodiversity, species richness we can see there. So it produces about total percent of the means about 20% of the total oxygen released into the atmosphere. So that means when we consider the total amount of oxygen released into the atmosphere in this earth, so when we take that into account, about 20% of the oxygen is released by the Amazon forest. So we can imagine what number of species or species richness is present in the Amazon. So suppose if Amazon is destroyed, so we will be having 20% of the oxygen deficit to the atmosphere. So that is also a broadly utilitarian, and it is coming under ecosystem services. So that means in large sense, so that oxygen is necessary for all the animal life, including human beings. Then walking through the thick woods, so that is also it is helpful to all animals and even human beings. And the spring flowers which are in full bloom, so they are also the broadly utilitarian examples. Then ethical, moral. So in moral sense, what is the use of this biodiversity? So first of all, every species, whether it is plant or animal, it is having its own value. So it may not be directly useful to us. So even a plant which is not useful to directly to us, but it is essential in maintaining the ecological stability, or it is essential for the biodiversity. And it is also having its, it is our duty, or it is our right to have a biological legacy and to pass it to the future generations. So whatever which is available, if we utilize and by over exploitation, if you over exploit that species, and if you make that species extinct and not available to that to the next generation, so it is not an ethical utilitarian. So our moral duty, our ethical sense is that we have to maintain the species, and we have to make it benefit to our future generations. So that is ethical utilitarian. So ethical utilitarian is also very important in the moral sense. So all these three are the reasons for conservation of biodiversity. Then there are some strategies for conservation of the biodiversity. So strategies, it includes how we conserve the biodiversity. What are the methods for conservation of biodiversity? So reasons we understood. So how the biodiversity has to be conserved. So there are certain methods. So mainly there are two methods or two strategies: in situ conservation and ex situ conservation. So in situ conservation, it is one of the method. So whenever we conserve the biodiversity in its natural habitat, so in its own ecosystem, so at all levels of that whole ecosystem, means without disturbing that species, whether it is a plant or animal. So if we conserve that particular species, it is in situ conservation. Now for example, if there is a forest, in that forest there is an animal which we have to be which is to be conserved. So in that sense, we are not disturbing any part of that ecosystem. So the whole ecosystem is maintained as it is at all levels, means in every sense, soil, water, atmosphere, like that. So that means without disturbing, we have to maintain that region, and when we have to protect that and maintain or conserve that species, we call it as in situ conservation. So this in situ conservation is protecting that species, conservation and maintaining that species at its natural habitat, and so that is what is called as in situ conservation. So in this there are two types which we can classify: hotspots and protected areas. So hotspots, they are regions where the species are very rich in that region. So whenever a region, if you take a country for example, in that country there are certain areas or regions where there is a species richness, and in that biodiversity, if there is some human activities involved or disturbance, so due to some human interference, so that region becomes sensitive. So that means it should be well protected, and then it is considered as hotspot. So such regions in our country, actually in the whole world there are about more than 20 hotspots, but in our country, India, there are 4 hotspots, means the regions which are very rich in biodiversity, and these regions are considered as sensitive. They are actually declared as sensitive by the government of India, and that is because of the interference of the human beings. So due to the involvement of the human activities, they are considered as hotspots. So the Indo-Burma region, so sometimes the border part of our country also is taken into account. So in that aspect, the neighboring country will cooperate, and they will cooperate with the ecological sense. So the Indo-Burma region is the region where it is an hotspot, and the Western Ghats of our South India, and the Eastern Himalayas, and also the Sri Lanka and Sunda land, means it is the group of islands in the Nicobar region which is considered as Sunda land. So there also we find hotspots. So these are the 4 hotspots which we can mention in our country. And protected areas. So these protected areas, they are also maintained. The word itself suggests they are protected, and this protection is through legal methods. So there are certain measures which are taken and made effective, particularly by passing an act or by implementing certain laws and protecting that area, so that human beings will not interfere there, and there is a fear of interference. So that means action will be taken against those which disturb that area or which cause damage to that area. They are called as protected areas. For example, in our state, the national park, the sanctuaries which we see, the Bannerghatta National Park, the Bandipur Sanctuary, Ranganathettu Sanctuary. So these are all forests, but they are not ordinary forests. They are forests which are protected and conserved. So there, such areas, there is a prohibition of certain human activities. So the human beings are prohibited from doing certain activities there, and that is why so that a disturbance will not occur in that area to the species. It may be a plant or an animal. So conservation means it is not only particularly plant or animal. So it includes all species there, and sometimes a particular species is taken care of, which is usually in the threatened stage. So threatened species means it is in the verge of extinction. So it is in the margin of extinction. So such threatened species are taken into account, and then it is considered as a protected areas. So there are also biosphere reserves. They are all similar to national parks, but this sanctuaries, biosphere reserves. So these are all protected areas which are present in our state and also in other states. Then in the in situ conservation, there are also sacred groves. So sacred groves, they are the forest patches actually. So these forest patches, they are worshipped. They are of religious importance, so that no human activities or there is no any disturbance of the plants and animals in that area. So that they are naturally conserved in that area. So these sacred groves are regions of worships or regions of religious importance. They are usually the forest patches. So there may be hilly areas. For example, the Khasi hills of Meghalaya, the Aravalli hills of Rajasthan, and in Madhya Pradesh there are also Bastar areas, there are Sarjuga areas, and so various examples are there. So that is sacred groves. Then endemic species. Endemic species, they are the species which are restricted to a particular region. So any species which is not found anywhere else and found only in a particular region is called as endemic species. So for example, Asiatic lion in Gir forest. It means Asiatic lion is found only in the Gir forest. But there are lion species, breeds of different types in other areas. So we also see lion in our states or in neighboring states. But the lion which is present in Gir forest, it is Asiatic lion, which is not found anywhere else in the world or on this earth. So such are called as endemic species. And even the lion-tailed macaque, means which is a type of monkey actually. So that lion-tailed macaque, it is found only in the Western Ghats, but not anywhere else in the world or other parts of the country. And even in the Nilgiri hills, there is another animal which is called as the tar. So it is usually referred as the Nilgiri tar. So that is also an endemic species. So there are even plant species which are endemic to particular regions and not found anywhere else. That is the endemic, what are endemic species. Then another method of conservation is ex situ conservation. So ex situ conservation means the species which is present in its natural habitat, it is removed from that area and it is well protected in an artificially created area. So it is called as ex situ. Ex means actually out, in means inside. So in situ conservation, so there the animal or the plant is present there only and it is conserved in that area. It is not disturbed. But in ex situ, that particular organism, whether it is plant or animal, it is usually taken out. It is removed out of its natural habitat and it is conserved in certain areas which are artificially created. For example, zoo, or we can call it as a zoological park. So when we say a zoo, it is having a different types of animals. So these animals, they are not naturally present in that area or in that zoo. They are brought from their natural habitats and they are well protected, they are conserved, they are taken care and created an artificial environment for them. So that is called as ex situ conservation. So plants and animals, so even botanical garden. So zoological parks means where animals are conserved. In botanical gardens, plants are brought and they are grown. So rare plant species, they are brought and taken care and they are protected and well maintained in that area. They are called as botanical gardens. And even in case of ex situ conservation, gametes are conserved. Actually gametes and embryos, so they are found naturally in the reproductive system of the animals or plants. So from the reproductive system, they are removed out and they are conserved for a particular purpose. So these gametes and embryos are conserved and it is done usually by cryopreservation. So cryopreservation means it is a type of preservation where in a very cold treatment it is conserved, and that is also ex situ conservation. And even the fertilization of the eggs in vitro, that is in an artificially nutrient medium, when eggs are fertilized, that means it is artificial fertilization. Actually natural fertilization takes place in the reproductive system, either in the plant or animal. But whenever we remove the male gametes and the eggs out of the natural part and then we place it in a nutrient medium and make them to fertilize, that is also an example of ex situ conservation. And even plants which are produced by tissue culture, so that is removing a part of the plant, removing certain tissues of the plant and then growing in artificial medium to develop into a new plant, it is also an example of ex situ conservation. So these are the methods of this biodiversity conservation, or how to conservation or how to conserve biodiversity, that is done by in situ conservation and ex situ conservation. Thank you.